Welcome to our live video series. Today we're going to talk about the Hyundai Kona Electric, and it is probably the best value per range per feature EV available today. I'd stand by that quite easily. So what we're going to do is spend about a half an hour going through the details of this vehicle. And if you've never joined us before, what we're going to do is we're going to wait for 3 minutes to get into the details. We're going to let our live audience build. We're going to talk about some news and notes, including some EV6 notes. And if you want to join us, I'll show you how to do that as well. If you want to join us live, that is. So if you're not watching live with us, feel free to skip ahead. If you want to know how to join us, stay with us. And if you are live with us, we got some good news coming up. So here we go. If you want to join us live, you go to our YouTube channel. We look just like this, and you can see we've got a sort of standard video down here, which I have to replace. I'll do that tonight or tomorrow. And if you refresh the page at exactly 2 o'clock Eastern time, which is what we're doing here on February 1st, 2022, you can refresh the page, and you will see that our live video takes over that spot at 2 o'clock every weekday. So click into that video. We're all going to watch the ad, right? No, we're going to skip the ad. All right, so give us a couple seconds here while I skip the ad, and then I'll run a quick little ad for the 3 dealers that support us, Brantford Kia, Brantford Hyundai, and Owen Sound Hyundai. Those are the 3 dealers in Ontario that support us. And if you are looking to buy a car in Ontario, you can connect with us or connect with me through the link in the description. I'll put it there as soon as I'm done making this live video, and we can help you out. Just realized I forgot my glasses today, so this is going to be a fun one. I should probably get them. All right, so if anybody's watching, can you bring my glasses into me? And if not, that's fine too. All right, so what's going on in the EV6 news? EV6 news, I have some today. It looks like our first, I think it's 6 or 7 EV6s are now scheduled for delivery. So if you are a person on our list, don't bother calling us. We will call you. But we do have some coming in. The first one could arrive this month. So that's kind of big news because that'll be an all-wheel drive on the new eGMP platform, which is, of course, what the Ioniq 5 is built on. But the Ioniq 5 all-wheel drive, at least here in North America, I won't see until probably the very end of the year or so, maybe a little bit sooner. We'll have to see about that. So we're going to be able to check that car out in detail. And, of course, we're doing this video today because we just did the Kia Soul EV, which we still have. There's a Kia Niro EV as well. And the Hyundai Kona is our EV for today. So lots of EV stuff. And in the Hyundai lineup specifically, check out their, if you go to the website and check out their hybrid and electric page, you'll see that there's like a ton of vehicles there now. So lots to talk about there as well. All right, if you're interested in EVs, anything we're doing, if you're just a regular, do me a favor, hit the like button right now. We're way down on normal likes, or likes compared to normal. So if we can hit that, get some regulars to like it. And of course, as we do the rest of this video, hopefully I can earn your like. While you're doing that, I'm gonna skip out for 2 seconds and get my glasses because it's gonna be much easier to read your comments when I do that. So bear with me for a second. They're right here. All right. All right. This is gonna be much better for all of us. All right. Here we go. This is the Hyundai Kona EV, or electric. So they call it the Hyundai Kona Electric. That's the name in North America. And I really quite like this car for 2022. I have been a little critical of the 2021 model. I feel like it just had a couple things that I wish this car had, which it now does have. So we're going to go through some of these updates for 2022. We're going to talk about things like, because it's cold temperatures here, battery warming stuff, technology that's in this car that's good for longevity, good for usability. So lots to cover here in detail. We'll do our best to give you the details that you're looking for. Meanwhile, let's just start with a key fob. This is a key fob with a remote start on the key fob, and I really like that. Oh, somebody says good morning from Australia. It must be very early there. Anyways, this key fob right here does have a remote start here. So if I lock the car and then hold down the remote start, what happens on an electric car? Well, essentially, it starts the climate up. You will hear, I don't know if you can hear it in person. Yep, I can hear it in person. I can hear it in person. I don't know if you can hear it there. You'll hear the heat start cranking away there. So you can use the remote start. And the nice thing is with an electric car, you can do this in an enclosed garage. So inside the closed garage, of course, there's no emissions coming off this thing. So I'm perfectly safe to sit here and hang out next to it. And it's not a big deal. And that is a big feature in the winter because a lot of people talk about EVs in the winter and how there's a range loss, which we'll talk about here. And there's all these negative things about an EV in the winter. But some things you forget are you can have the car sitting in your garage, remote start that, preheat the climate, and get it going right from your key fob. Or if you don't want to do it from your key fob, you can also do it from the cell phone app that comes along with it. So what we're going to do is turn the car off again right now. Instantly it's turned off and we're good to go. I'm going to put that key in my pocket. We're going to talk about this car in detail. So let's dive in right now. But before we do, just check on pricing of this car. This car is a very good deal right now. They've tweaked the pricing. So while improving the vehicle for 2022, you've got $49,399 up here for the Ultimate and $43,899. And both of these cars are rated for 415 kilometers of range. Now, I say rated because if you're a Tesla fan, you're going to go, oh, they're rated for this, but they're going to get less. But if you're a Kia or a Hyundai EV fan, or at least if you're knowledgeable about these cars, you'll know that 3 seasons of the year, it's very common for these cars to get about 425 to 485. It's not uncommon to see Kona EVs or Kona Electric, excuse me, go over 500 kilometers. So if you're looking for that 400 plus kilometers, this doesn't have that rating, but it will certainly exceed, well, it does have that rating, 415 kilometers, but it's very common for 3 seasons of the year in Canada to exceed that. So somebody's saying here, somebody that got 489 kilometers in the winter. Wow. So, I haven't seen that happen in the winter, but that's a lot. So let's jump in here. Let's talk about this car. And first thing I'm going to do, it is a keyless entry. Now, although I have the window open for me, it is locked. So I'm going to tap that there, unlock either just the driver's door or all 4 doors, depending on how I set it up. You can get a dark interior on this car. So my choices today were a gray exterior, which is available at Brantford Hyundai, or the black exterior. This one actually is a demo model they've been using, so it's got about 5,000 kilometers on it. But the gray exterior had a black interior, and this one has the lighter color interior, and I do apologize, I forgot the name of this interior, but I quite like it. So of course you right away start with power seats with a power lumbar, which is quite nice. You've got that nice big space down there if you're the kind of person who carries a purse around. You've got lots of space there. There are some ports in there as well. And then you've got sort of the typical Hyundai, the push-button style. Now, the only thing I don't love about this car, I'll be honest with you, and it's something that an owner will get used to very quickly, there are these push-button start. Normally, when you have the push-button gear shift, normally they're kind of in order, park, reverse, neutral, drive. And I prefer that layout in the other Hyundai vehicles over this Kona. Now, of course, if you own this vehicle, you'll figure this out very quickly. But I like the park, reverse, neutral, drive kind of in order. That's the only thing that you can get used to. Now, people always say, oh, I don't want the push-button start or push-button gear shift. I got to be honest, I've gotten used to that very, very quickly. All right, let's shut the door for a second. Because it's a full EV, we can put our foot on the brake, press the start button, and start the car. We can't do this with other electric vehicles. So I just turned the climate off for a second now, just so I don't have any noise in the vehicle here. This is a big upgrade that we have over the previous model years. You have a full 10.25 inch display screen here, and you have proper gauges. So the range numbers listed down there is 166. The battery percentage is low in this vehicle. You can see it's, actually that's not your battery percentage. But anyways, you can see it is fairly low in here. We'll take a look at that exactly. Actually, let's just do that right now. So we'll slide over to the larger screen, or the same size screen over here. There's another 10.25 inch screen here. We're gonna go to the EV information, and you can see it's at 47%, but let's just see what we really have. So if we were fully charged in the winter, 374 kilometers of range. So keep in mind, this is a car that has been driving around. Now, I'll be honest, I looked at the history. I drive this thing more efficiently than the person who works at Brantford Hyundai has been driving it. Now, that might be him. That might be lots of stuff. So I think I could squeak out a little bit more range out of this car than he's been driving. But this is based on the calculations of the way he's been driving and the weather and everything else. And it's 374 in the middle of the winter. And it has been exceptionally cold here lately. Like we're talking the other day, I think it was minus 29 Celsius overnight. It was minus 20 in the mornings and during the days. So very, very cold weather. And how does this car do in the cold weather? Just fine. So let's talk about range. We know we're going to have a range loss in the winter. And if that 374 isn't enough for you, again, you have charging stations everywhere, but you know, maybe an electric vehicle is not right for you right now. And that's fine. So don't argue with me if the range isn't enough. If it is, like most people I know, for instance, myself, there are some really great things about this particular vehicle. So you have, of course, your climate system, and your climate system here is the auto climate system. It on both of these trim lines of the Kona, you end up having something called a heat pump. Now, the heat pump works like a heat pump for most things, and we won't go into the details on that, but the big thing that's different about an electric vehicle is you have sort of 2 levels of heat. Now, you have a PTC heater that can throw some heat on the windshield, but you have essentially an electric heater in this car, which does take considerable amount of range. So when I turn on the electric heat, let's just play with it a little bit for a second here. There's 166 right there, right? That's on the bottom of the gauge there. So 166, let's turn it on. Let's go full heat here. So 27, we'll turn up the fan down to 154. Now watch if I kill the climate. There we go, 166. Now, of course, this car is sitting inside at 15 degrees Celsius. If this car was sitting at minus 15, like it has been outside a couple days, cranking that heat could take away like 40 or 50 or 60 kilometers of range. But keep in mind, it's predicting your range based on the current conditions of your climate system. So while that system needs full heat the entire way, eventually you'll reach temperature inside the cabin, and that heat will back off, and then your range will restore a little bit. Heat is your enemy when you're talking about range, but again, 374 kilometers of range. You can get all the range you need, or for most people, all the range you're going to need in a car like this. So, second thing we need to know about this heat pump is the electric heater throws, but that heat pump can recapture heat from the regenerative braking system. So of course that creates heat when it does that, and it captures it in that, essentially they told me to plain language explain it like this. It captures into that canister, you turn the heat on, instead of just letting that heat go into the atmosphere, it'll send it through the cabin here. So it'll make your electric heater have to work less. How much does it really affect range? I personally don't think it does a huge number, but it is the latest technology. And the same thing goes with batteries. When you have batteries in this extremely cold weather, you can set this car up. It has an electric heater, so it can circulate that coolant through the batteries, and that is also good for charging times. It's good for overall battery maintenance, and it's very good for longevity of the battery. So the way this car is built to handle the temperature of your batteries basically allows it to minimize range degradation over the years. I can tell you that my car has similar technology in it, and I went 2 summers and 2 winters now, and I have not seen any range degradation at all based on peak conditions in both the summers. So really good management here. There's lots of things you can do on your own to help out as well, but that's kind of an extended version of what's going on. Inside here, one of the things that people keep asking me is my Santa Cruz and the Tucson. They also have a very similar dash to here, and people say, why is there no heads-up display? And I always said it'd kind of be redundant to have your digital speed there and your digital speed up there. But the reality is they do have a heads-up display here, and it shows more than just your speed. It shows lane follow assist information. It shows you blind spot information. It can show you lane keep, lane follow systems, blinds, what do we say? Cruise control, all kinds of things can be thrown up there when we're driving. One of the features I really like is on that speedometer up there, if you go above the speed limit, it can change orange and red. So 10 kilometers over or less, it's orange. If 20 kilometers over, it goes to a red lettering. So it automatically changes in your heads-up display. So at a glance, you can tell if you're 10 over or within 10 over or within 20 over or above. And it's very hard to film that heads-up display, but there you go. You do have it here. While we're talking about, let's just talk about some of the stuff you have over here. Pretty much everything you need. You got a Harman Kardon sound system. You've got all your EV information. Let's just go to the radio for a second. We'll turn the radio on here. Let's see what Jason likes to listen to. Let's go to FM and see what we've got on there. Oh, 88.3. So he apparently doesn't listen to the radio at all. Let's go back to the full radio here, and let's go to satellite radio. No satellite memory or anything like that either. So you have this kind of a cooler looking radio display, and you can pull it in so you have the map on the side here. That's, again, it's thinking the car's at night, so the map is dark, but you can cycle through EV information. You can cycle through all kinds of different information here to find what you need. So just nice to have this larger entertainment screen here in this car. And then, of course, the multiple user modes. Right now it's set for Jason. I can set it for me. I can set it for a guest as well. So 3 different user modes that customize not just this display, for instance, things like radio presets and that kind of thing, but they also customize things like driver settings. So when you set up the car for driving. All right, really quickly, we're going to talk about the paddle shifters here. You kind of have one pedal driving available to you because the car can come to a complete stop if I held down this paddle shifter. So it's not actually a paddle shifter. It adjusts the regenerative braking on this car. So if you're going to look at the bottom of the screen right there, you can see I've pressed this. So let's just see if I put the brake on. Let's put it in gear for a second. Drive. There is my paddle shifter. So what I've done is I've taken this paddle shifter right here that decreases my paddle shifters or my regenerative braking. So I've done to the minimum, and then I can turn it back up. 1, 2, 3, and then I can actually hold it and get more regenerative braking as well. Or you can set it to the auto setting, which means that it might give you, for instance, level 2 of regenerative braking. Oops, gotta put it in park again. It might put in level 2 of regenerative braking and then back off or sort of increase the regenerative braking as it approaches other cars. I realize all this is confusing and nerdy, but I feel like some of our audience is kind of ready to go deeper with me, so hopefully that makes sense. But the idea being here that regenerative braking is very customizable right here from the steering wheel. It's not something you get in something like a Tesla, and a lot of our Kia and Hyundai EV drivers really appreciate that customized ability to do that kind of thing. All right, we mentioned there's a BlueLink app which starts and stops the car and checks all kinds of features like state of charge and all kinds of other things. You can stop the charge, do all those things. You also have the tow truck, that kind of thing. And then because this is a little bit older designed mirror, you still have your HomeLink buttons on the mirror. The newer mirrors have a smaller bezel. The buttons have been moved over here on some of the other models of cars. And then when these buttons are moved over here, you lose your sunglasses holder. In this case, you still keep your sunglasses holder, which I think is a really good idea to have it there. It seems like our customers use that a lot. The other thing you have in this particular Ultimate trim is the sunroof above your head here. Heated and ventilated seats here, so you're always comfortable. We mentioned the powered seats. And then we're going to talk a tiny bit about some of the technology just here on the steering wheel. Big upgrade. You can't get this on something like the Kia Soul EV we just talked about. Lane follow assist. So you have lane keeping assist, that's inactive, but lane follow assist is just a better, more precise version of that system, and it really is a nice step forward. So you have that lane follow assist here. You also have smart cruise control down here. So a lot of different features that make this car just more safe, more easy to deal with. You've got parking beepers down here, or that's parking beepers on and off, and of course the backup camera, which we can show you over here. Let's just throw in reverse for a second. Nice big backup camera, and you can see parking sensors front and rear. So as I approach the wall here, let's just approach the wall. Let's go in backwards. So let's go rear. So we'll reverse for a second here. As we do that, I'm gonna get out of whack here, and you'll see those beepers eventually start coming in, and you can see I'm getting close. Let's try to get a little too close. Now it goes yellow, and if I went closer, it would go red. So we'll put it in drive here, and we'll go forward, and of course, if I come to the same thing in the front, you'll see, if I can hit it, there's a lot more detail to this wall here, so I'm gonna go very slow. There we go. It senses in front. So you've got these sensors that can go green, yellow, and red as you approach something, in addition to the camera, and I think that makes it really nice for safety. It's a nice feature that you don't have on every car. And really that's what this car is about. It is technically the, let me just put it in park for a second. Technically this car is the step down from the Ioniq 5. It's certainly a smaller size, but it still has a whole bunch of technology in there. All right, we're 17 minutes in. I've gone full on nerd for some of this stuff now. So I don't know if this is helpful or not. I don't see a lot of comments coming through, but do me a favor. I'm gonna go take your questions. So start asking some questions if you want. And do me a favor, let's see, we're at 72 people on. Let's see if we can get to 72 likes today. So we got 32 to go. We could probably do that. And if we all hit the button right now, that'll help. We'll talk about safety. We're gonna go rear seat trunk space. We're gonna talk about some lighting and other stuff. And we'll continue to talk about some safety as we move through, because this car also has a few safety features that not every EV has, including not every EV in the Kia or Hyundai lineup, which I think is interesting that they just pull a few extra in this Kona for 2022 as part of that redesign. So let me see if I missed any questions or if I've just bored you all to sleep, and we'll find out. Again, I know I've gone kind of heavy on the nerd stuff here, so maybe I'm going too far for some people. All right. Yeah, so there we go. Oh, wow, Aaron, you've got 63,000 kilometers on your 2020 Niro. So that would be the same basic powertrain as this, and she's seen no battery degradation there, so there we go. There we go. What else have we got? Somebody says they think Kia uses different batteries than Hyundai. I'm not so sure about that. It's the same basic technology. Okay, so not a ton of questions here. Warranty on the battery. So again, depending on where you're from, it's different. EV-related components are warranted longer, and oh, you just trapped me. I feel like it's 7 or 8 years. I can't remember off the top of my head. So the warranty stuff I used, this is the kind of stuff that sales guys memorize, and they have it just like that. And the things that the sales guys memorize are usually things that I don't. So I apologize. The warranty information is on Hyundai's website, but it is extended on the EV-related components. So there is that. Charging speed we can talk about. It's not as fast as something like the Ioniq 5, but you still have level 3 charging. It is around 9 hours on a level 2 charger, just over 9 hours on a level 2 charger from empty, which is one of these chargers. And of course, an hour and a half from 0 to 80% on a level 3 charger. None of that 18-minute charge time that you could get in the Ioniq 5, but again, it depends on what you're using this car for. So we have an EV of this class in my family. We have a Kia Soul EV, and 99% of our charging is done right in our home, and it's just not an issue. So we showed you front seat. Let's show you rear seat space, and then we'll go trunk space, and then we'll talk about some lighting and safety stuff. I do want to point out while we're here, this one has a roof rack. Not a lot of EVs have a roof rack here, and if you're an outdoorsy kind of person, to be able to throw your bike rack up there, ski box, other stuff like that, I like to put a canoe or kayak up there. That just makes it a little easier to do when you've got the proper roof rails as opposed to mounting it into the painted section here of the metal. You've got that proper roof rack that's really solid. So if you're a cargo person, camping, that kind of thing, then it's good. Now, this seat is just a hair back further than I needed it to film, but I don't think that's going to be a huge concern. The rear seat in the Kona is not as large as some of the other rear seats. It's something to just keep in mind. If you always take passengers, this may or may not work for you. You'll have to decide for yourself. If you rarely take passengers or don't take large passengers, this I think will work fine. So again, the seat is a little bit this front seat is a little bit too far back for me, and you can see I've only got about an inch of space. So I could probably create another inch of space there as well. Headroom, I'm fine, but I'm not, it's not as large as something like the Kia Soul EV we had in here just last week. It's just one thing about the Kona, it's just a slightly smaller car, and certainly significantly smaller than the Ioniq 5. A lot of people see the Ioniq 5, they bring back the Hyundai Pony kind of imagery to their head. The Ioniq 5 is very much a small crossover. This is very much a small car. It's, I think technically they want to call this a crossover, but to me, much more of a car. All right, taking a look down here, you can see because the battery's on the floor, my legs are a little bit raised up. Not super uncomfortable, but pretty good here. But again, like I said, perfectly fine to fit an adult back here, a 6-footer behind a 6'1" or 6'2" person here. But beyond that, you're going to have less space. It's the only real negative to this car is that it's just, well, I don't know if it's a negative. It might not matter to most people, but it's a little smaller in the back seat than some other alternatives, and I don't think that's a problem. You've got the armrest there as well with cup holders. The seats back here are heated on the seat bottom, so you have 2 levels? Yes, 2 levels of seat heating back here, so you will have some comfort that way, even on these leather seats. All right, let's jump into the trunk for a second now. I'm just gonna lead with the camera this time. All right, trunk is the teddy bear test. So when we measure trunk space on this channel, we take our little teddy bear and we pop that open. Now, this should be connected up here. So if somebody disconnected it, we'll just put that on. Sorry for a second, guys. Terrible camera work, but didn't realize this was not connected. So we're just going to connect that up for a second just to show you what this should look like. All right, so that is your panel there. And if we look under the floor right here, you do have the ability to lower this just a little bit. So we're going to do that. You've got no spare tire on these EVs. That's pretty common stuff, just an inflator kit. But if we lower this down just a little bit here, you gain a little bit of space. And that's going to matter if you're taking a larger teddy bear friend along with us here. So when we take our teddy bear friend and throw him in, teddy bear's got a pretty big belly. Now this one is the Harman Kardon sound system. So you do right over here. That's your subwoofer right there. When you throw a teddy bear in here, he's pretty comfy. Right? I mean, his arm is sitting there. His head's just up a little bit because it's a narrower car. It's not as big as something like a, Palisade or something like that. You do have LED lighting in the back here right by his head. You can see that white kind of light shining on there. So pretty good, but you can see by lowering that floor, when this cargo cover lowers, it's probably just clearing Teddy's belly. If we had it higher, it would be, it would be just a little bit there. As people ask, why is the floor higher? Well, that's simple. When it's higher, it's kind of flush with here, and when you fold the seats down, it's kind of flush with that. So you can load a larger item in here by taking that panel out, and larger items slide right across to the, excuse me, right across to the rear seats. Oh boy. You'll notice back here as well, if you're carrying kids back here, you've got the 3-latch system, so you can put a child seat anywhere you want. And on that cargo floor, you have tie-downs as well, so you can keep that cargo secure in the back of your trunk. All right. Come on, teddy bear. He's falling out of his chair. There we go. Okay. So we'll close this down. One of the things I really like in our Canadian winters, you have a lot of salt that can sit on the outside of the vehicle. So if you had to close the vehicle out here, you risk scratching the paint in that salt, but instead we have a handle here. Close it down like that, and you have no issues of scratching that paint. Overall, the design of this car, bumpers are new, lighting is a little bit new. We'll take a look at the actual lighting in just one second here, but you've got that smoothed out look, and a lot of the Konas, depending on which trim line you get, they use a sort of textured plastic up here. This is all body color. It is painted black, so obviously you can't tell as much, but it is body color. It gives it a little sleeker look. The painted body color wheel arches there as opposed to the other style. So let's turn the car back to the on position, and I can't do it because my body's not in the car far enough. There we go. Keys in my pocket and it wouldn't start up. So we got the headlights on now all the way. We're going to turn the signal on. So nice little upgrade here. You have LED signal lights there, but you have the LED headlights on this car. So of course, not every Kona has the LED headlights. You have a pretty cool array of lighting over here. Let's just take a look. Normally, this is just your daytime running light, and then your signal light is down here. But with these LED lights, that's your bright white daytime running light, which is not showing great on camera. And then you have your nice blazing bright LED headlights down there. But because there's no signal light there, your daytime running light becomes your signal, which just makes more sense to me. It looks sharp. The camera's not filming very well, but it's a nice bright amber LED light there. So it works very, very well. Your charging point in the front here, all a smoothed out look here. So of course, 2022, all the Konas have a new front end, front grille. Basically, the plastic on the front is new, and this one is excellent as far as just a smooth look to it. And while we're here, just talk safety for a quick second. You've got the radar plate down there. You've got the camera up there. Those are good for the smart cruise control, for the forward collision avoidance as well. But my favorite thing is this now has pedestrian detection and junction collision avoidance. So the pedestrian detection and cyclist detection, it can use the camera and it can use the radar plate to judge what it sees and how far away they are, and just keep you a little extra safe. Again, top of the line safety stuff over here. Website says sold out in Canada for 2022. Probably they are. My website says limited availability. Talk to your dealer if you want one. I believe that Brantford Hyundai still has one in stock available for sale, and there will be limited availability. But with the demand in EVs, sometimes you can get these quicker than you can get an Ioniq 5 or something like that. Down here, you do have LED rear signal lights. This is something we've talked about a lot lately. Most of these LED lights, LED front signal lights, do not have LED rear signal lights, but you do have that here. Your tail lights are right over here, and they'll fill in with brake lights right back there as well. So let's go take a few questions from you, and let's see, we were 12 likes away from our 72 like goal, so let's see if anybody has a like to give, if either I've earned the like, or more importantly, if the vehicle's earned the like. Do me a favor and hit the like button. Let's see if we can get to about 72 likes, and I'll see if there's any questions here that we can take. All right. Nero and Soul are larger in the back seat than this. Yes, that's true. The Soul is more square, so therefore it gives more headroom. You sit a little bit more square. Nero's a little bit larger car, so it is a little bit larger in the back. And that's why this one has a higher rating for range. That little bit of size that it loses, I assume there's some weight involved in that as well. It does have a little bit larger rated range. So the Kia Soul is rated for 383 kilometers. Of course, we know it'll go 425 to 485, no problem. The Kia Niro, 385 kilometers, so 2 kilometers difference. The Niro gets 2 kilometers more than the Soul. This is rated for 415 kilometers, so a little difference there in rating, and you make that extra rating up in the smaller size. Somebody asked a really good question: rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive? So the Ioniq 5 is a rear drive platform. That's not this car. The Ioniq 5 is a rear drive platform that can add all-wheel drive. This one is a front drive platform, and that's it. The gasoline Kona is available in front wheel drive or all-wheel drive. The electric vehicle is only front wheel drive. So front wheel drive with 290 foot-pounds of torque. It depends on who you ask. So 291 or 290. So that is more torque than the base Ioniq 5. But you have less horsepower. You have 201 horsepower. Maybe not. I can't remember the Ioniq 5. But you do have more torque than... All right. I think we're back. We lost our Wi-Fi signal, so we've jumped on... All right, I think we're back. Yeah, so we lost our Wi-Fi signal. I jumped on my network here, so hopefully we can keep going here. Going to keep going with your questions here for a second. So somebody asked, is it torquey or does it feel like a Slug getting up to speed? The exact opposite of a Slug. These cars feel extremely peppy, even in the eco mode. You throw it in sport mode and it feels like a flat out sports car. You can shock people with the way you can pull away because that instant torque happens. So I do apologize for losing signal there, guys. Sometimes we have some Wi-Fi issues here, so I've jumped on my cell phone network here and we'll keep going here. Kona or Seltos, somebody asked. So the Kona or Seltos, that's a gasoline thing. Just depends on you. We'll save that for another video. There is no Seltos EV, so obviously in the EV segment, obviously Kona is the pure winner for sure. Just so to answer your question partially, Seltos is bigger. They have similar options. Sometimes bigger is better. Sometimes it's not for you. So that may make a difference. If only this was a little bigger, I would have bought it. Yep. And that is the only catch with this car is if you're just 2 people and occasional rear seat passengers, or if you're 2 people with smaller rear seat passengers, this is probably a perfectly good car for you. If you have large rear seat passengers all the time, this is a little different. Okay. Where are we going here? We're losing some signal here. You know what? I don't see a ton more questions, so we'll just probably leave it right there. Waiting on the EV6 though. Waiting on the EV6, like I said, EV6 news. We do expect the EV6 to be, I expect to see it as early as February. So we've seen some internal documents. I'm going to do a video on that either tonight or tomorrow morning, where we're expecting to see the EV6. We'll talk about that when it comes in, but we do expect to see that in all-wheel drive this month. So, all right, I think we covered the on-topic questions. If there's an off-topic question on cars, I will answer that. If not, we'll keep moving through. The VPOG, yeah. No, so you guys know the internal terminology. VPOG is a vehicle price and ordering guide. I have not seen that for the EV6. What we do know about the EV6 is that it's coming. We should see it. At this point, they're predicting I'll see the first one in February. So I'll believe that when I see it. But the point is, several of them are on the way. We will call you if you're a customer waiting for one. Let us just go through the information. Like I said, tonight or tomorrow morning, we'll do a video telling you what we know. At this point, it looks like 8 are coming. The first one as early as February. So we'll leave it there. We hit 74 likes. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Yeah, this week could be an interesting one. Now, we've got a lot of snow coming in the next couple days. I don't know if I'll do any outside driving the snow, but if we can, we'll do that. So he says, when is the next Ioniq 5 talk? We can do that again this week. We've done a number, but if you guys want me to do it, just continue to let me know in the comments section that you want to see more of that car. It's available to me at any time, but I don't want to overload you guys with one single vehicle. So if you guys want the Ioniq 5, just keep requesting it, and we'll pull it back in here for you. Because that's what we do here. If you've never been to our channel, we will pull this car back in again and again and again to make sure that you got everything you need for information. So thanks everybody for joining us. We'll talk to you again in the next one. We'll see you tomorrow live at 2 o'clock Eastern time.